Hi! My name is Shanika Advicoyantes and welcome to another video. So for today, I will be doing another activity in Anatomy and Physiology Laboratory, and one of the lessons that we have covered is about the body organization and the anatomical language. So I will be sharing you my thoughts and applications on what I have learned in this lesson. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. Now, before I will proceed to my presentation, I would leave to you one question. What composes the human body? So many of us think that the human body consists of different parts. In our elementary years, we learned that the human body is like this. It composes the different basic parts of the human body. And during our high school years, this is what the body or what we learn from the human body that will look like. It is more on the internal parts of the body. So for today, I will be doing a report on anatomy and physiology, specifically a lesson on the body organization of an organism, on how we are made. So we all know that the human composes of bones or skeletal systems and different parts of organs that could make the whole body. But it is not just like that. It is more complex than we have thought before. So we will dig in on how the body organization works based on their planes, their directional terms, and the locations or the specific parts on where the organs were located. Now, first we have the levels of organization before we would dig into the study of the human body. So what makes us human? So first we will start from an atom. So an atom is one of the smallest living components in our surroundings. And this atom would be a molecule until it forms a macromolecule once molecules will be intact with each other. Now, these macromolecules will form an organelle. This organelle would also stay in the cells. That's why cells have different parts which are called the organelles. Let's say the human have organs, so the cell have their organelles. Now the cell would form a tissue that has different types. So there is epithelial, there is connective, there is nervous, and there is muscular. And when this tissue forms, it will become an organ. And when all organs will be compact and stay all together, it would be an organ system that would make us human, or that would form the organism. So that is why each and every one of us are very unique and very important to each other, because we are made of cells, we are made of tissues, we are made of organs, and of course the organ systems that build up of us as a human. So we are all unique. Now first, let's dig into the body organization. But before that, we will start on the standard anatomical position on how we would base this as the study of the human body. So the anatomical position consists of these characteristics. So first, the body should be erect, the feet should be slightly apart, palms should be always facing forward, and the thumbs would point away from the body. So in learning this anatomical position, we would know on how to study the human body easily based on their planes, their directional terms, and how the organs were located. That's why it is very important and standardized for us to learn. But is it natural for a living person to assume this anatomical position? Well, the answer is no. Humans maintain their position by building body posture and for them to look good. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they would also apply it in the anatomical position. since this is only for studying purposes only on how to locate different organs or parts of the body. Next, we will proceed to the body regions. So the body regions has two parts. You should know the two parts of the body regions. First is at the front and then at the back. But when it comes to scientific terms, this would be called anterior view for the front and the posterior view at the back. So pause the video if you want to learn the different body regions based on their views, because I will not be able to mention them one by one since it's too many. We have the directional terms. So there are different types of directional terms that for us to know on how far on the organ is located. So I'm gonna just mention some directional terms that are very common for us to know on where specific organs were located. Either they are far from each other or they are near from each other. But it's not only the organs, it's also the parts. So first, we have the superior and the inferior. So the superior was at the top and the inferior was at the bottom. So when we say superior, superior is toward the head end or upper part of a structure or a body. Then when it comes to the inferior, it is the opposite. The inferior is away from the head end or the lower part of the structure of the body. That's where we can see there is superior on top and inferior on the bottom. Now, let me give you an example. The head is superior to the neck. For us, commonly, we say the head is above the neck. But when it comes to anatomical terms, we would say the head is superior to the neck. Now, for vice versa, when we say inferior, the neck is below the head. But when it comes to directional terms, the neck is inferior to the head. Next, we have the anterior and the posterior. So anterior means front of the body and posterior means at the back. So let me give you another example. The breastbone, let's say for example, the breastbone would be somewhere here, is anterior to the spine. Why anterior? Because your breastbone is in front of the spine. Now when it comes to vice versa, the spine is at the back of the breastbone. But when we say in directional terms, the spine is posterior to the breastbone. Next, we have the proximal and the distal. So proximal means closer to the origin of the body, while the distal is farther from the origin of the body. So example, the elbow. Let's say the elbow is here. It's proximal to the wrist because it is near or closer to the origin of the body. When it comes to vice versa, the wrist is distal to the elbow because it is farther to the body structure. Then last but not the least, we have the medial and the lateral. So medial in its word mid, meaning it is at the middle of the structure of the body. Then when we say lateral, it is farther from the midline of the body. So for example, your heart is medial to the arm because the heart is at the middle and then the arm is farther away from your heart. When it comes to vice versa, your arm is lateral to the heart because the arm is away from the midline of the heart. Let's go to the three basic types of body planes. So first we have the frontal plane. So the frontal plane is basically the division on, well, specifically at the front, but these divisions would stay either in the anterior part of the body or the posterior. So when it is when it is divided into each other, there is the front part and there is the back part. Next, we have the sagittal plane. So the sagittal plane is like the vertical division of your body. So it divides into the left and right structures of your body. Then last but not the least is the transverse plane, more like a horizontal division of your body, which shows the top or the superior part of your body and the bottom or the inferior part of the body. Now let me give you a quick quiz or a quick review. See this kidney right here? What do you think this type of plane would lay on? So if your answer is frontal, then you're correct, because this is the literal kidney on where it is facing from, but it is divided, so it is in the front. So we have the posterior and the anterior. Next, what do you think in the middle? What kind of plane is it? And then if your answer is sagittal, then you're right, because this human was standing at the side, and I can't describe either it is the left or the right side of the body, but as you can see, it is in the sidereal view, so it is sagittal, because the division would be the left or the right. And last but not the least, of course, the name was right here, so it is very obvious. And the division was right in the horizontal part of the brain. That's why you can see the top or the lower part of the brain. So it is the transverse plane. Next, we will go on to the body cavities. So the body cavities was mainly divided into 3 body cavities that also have specific body cavities under some body cavities. So in our human body, we have the front and the back. So there is a cavity that is called the ventral and the dorsal cavity. So when we say ventral, these are the cavities that is located at the front of your body. And when we say dorsal, it is located at the back of your body. So for the ventral, we have 3 types of cavities, but the 2 cavities was under the abdominopelvic cavity. So first we have the thoracic cavity right on the chest, the abdominopelvic cavity, abdominopelvic because it is combined on abdominal cavity and the pelvic cavity. So it's literally in the abdomen and in the pelvic part of the body. Next, we have the dorsal cavity, and this is only divided into 2 cavities. So it is the brain that surrounds a cranial cavity, and then the spinal cavity, which composes of our spinal cord. We have the thoracic cavity. So the thoracic cavity is mainly composed of the heart, the 2 lungs, the trachea, and the diaphragm. But this diaphragm would divide the abdominal cavity, which I will be discussing next. We have the abdominal cavity. So this is where most of the organs would stay from the liver, the spleen, your kidneys, and also your large and small intestine would also lie on. Then we have the pelvic cavity. So this pelvic cavity was more on our reproductive organs. So we have the vagina, the anal canal, the urethra, your bladder, the ovary, the uterus. As long as the organs were at the bottom of the abdominal cavity. That's why it is called abdominal pelvic, because they were compact with each other, but they were divided into 2. Well, that's mainly it. So I hope you have learned something from my presentation, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye-bye!